Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Superstars of Wrestling review series for the 14th of August, 1993. Obviously, we're kind of going through these uh, in a orderly fashion, or as orderly a fashion as we can. Razor Ramon and Dwayne Gill starting off, and I mean, Razor, I guess I would say, is almost a full fledged babyface by this point. Certainly, he turns at SummerSlam in a couple of weeks fully with his match with Ted DiBiase, but he's mostly a babyface handing off the gold, basically saying if something happens to the gold, something's going to happen to the ring attendant. And a Beal across the ring, Razor with an Irish whip on Gill, who I believe is dealing with some health challenges right now, so good thoughts out to him. But manages to do the overhead follow-away slam. Does Razor has the guy roll out, and DiBiase basically says he will turn Razor into a servant. Inverted abdominal stretch on one foot, back suplex from the second rope and the Razor's edge, and Razor gets a victory. Lex Luger and Yokozuna contract signing basically is what it says it is. Back when contract signings were not goofy. The fact that they've been doing contract signings for 30 years and they're overdoing them now is just frustrating. This is part of the update thing and the Lex Express. Obviously, Lex making friends with everybody and all the fans across the country with the Lex Express deal. Anyway, Jim Cornette basically says that in fact we all need to be worried about what's coming. Lex Luger though will have one shot and one shot only. He also must wear a protective covering over his elbow because of the steel plate in the arm. And Jack Tunney endorses the championship match. Macho Man is there. Various other dignitaries are there. It doesn't really make sense why they're there unless it's to hold off guys in between each other. Ludwig Borga and Mike Cloy. Borga is a Finnish individual who later goes into Parliament. He's here for a little while. Double chokes the opponent that he has. Holds him up for a good length of time, actually, holding him kind of elevated in a sense of kind of setting him there, and ultimately the Irish whip and nails him with a big press slam into the Samoan drop, and a one finger pin by Borga. Is almost attempted, but he decides to bring the man up. Chloe manages to get up for a minute, but Borga does get a victory about 30 seconds or so later off of a big flying shoulder tackle. 1, 2, 3, and away we go. Face to face with Whippleman and Razor Ramon. Razor basically says he wants to get even with the $1 Million Man. The $1 Million Man knows nothing about hard work, and he has to dump all of his richness when they go to SummerSlam. Harvey Whippleman says he does not care what the stipulations for the Rest in Peace match at SummerSlam are. He believes that his man, Giant Gonzalez, will make The Undertaker rest in peace. The Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott, up next here, uh, facing off against Mr. Tarantino and Mr. Bell. They are the tag team champions. Going into my favorite Steiner's match in the WWF, that is their Heavenly Bodies match at SummerSlam. That is my favorite match of theirs. Steiner just dumps the enhancement talent, one of them, on his head, not very ceremoniously at all. And Scott Steiner always was the snugger of the two. And the attempted Irish whip, I believe Glenn Ruth mentions to be one of the enhancement talents that faces him quite a bit. Belly to back kind of dragon suplex off of a full Nelson by Scott, who drags the man to the corner. The Heavenly Bodies in an inset promo bragging about what's coming for them. I believe it's Mike Bell who manages to fight back against Rick Steiner for half a minute. Steiner, though, takes him up across the back with the inverted backbreaker, runs him into the buckle hard, inverted in a way, and Bell is not happy with any of that mess. Needless to say, Rick Steiner gets him up, and we see an Irish whip by Scott Steiner, belly to belly suplex overhead release, and Steiner continues to be in control. Hanging suplex into the Steiner screwdriver drop. Even here in 1993, dangerous as heck. Scott Steiner. I was never a Scott Steiner fan, will never be a fan of his, because I honestly found him to be dangerous for other workers. And they get a victory there. We go to the SummerSlam report, but before we get there, a match for Tatanka, Fred Williams and Tatanka. I believe Tatanka still undefeated at this point in his journey. Pretty sure he's still undefeated. I think that ends, or maybe that might have already ended with the Ludwig Borga thing. Not really sure, but it ends around this time. So certainly he goes on a nearly 2-year undefeated streak. Takedown by Tatanka and the arm drags and some body slams along the way. Tatanka fires up Williams, who I don't think I've seen before as an enhancement talent. Tries to rake the eyes, tries to go at the man. Big attempted clothesline and a run there, and ultimately drop kick under the chin by Tatanka. Tatanka manages to get some chops off and does everything he possibly can to make everything like that happen. Double chop along the way, and the Samoan drop by Tatanka gets him the victory. We then go to the SummerSlam report as mentioned. SummerSlam obviously a couple of weeks away, August 30th at the Palace of Auburn Hills in Michigan. Don't know how they ended up in Michigan, just doesn't seem like their type of area. But Gene Okerlund runs through the card, and obviously, Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler is a big part of that card. Bret Hart basically says Lawler stepped over the line by calling himself the King. Lawler stepped over the line by involving the Hart family, including Bruce, Owen, and Bret's parents, and he is going to get even. He mentions holding him in the sharpshooter for an exorbitant length of time, a rest in peace match, which basically kind of is a no-holds-barred match, but not really. Razor Ramon and Ted DiBiase also on the card, and Marty Jannetty and Ludwig Borga. The Steiners and the Heavenly Bodies for the Tag Team Championships, as mentioned before. Okerlund trying to get us to pay for the pay-per-view, obviously. Heavenly Bodies and Bert Santino and Rich Myers. Heavenly Bodies, of course, Dr. Tom Pritchard and Jimmy Del Rey. I worked with Bert Santino on maybe a dozen or so independent shows in 1997, so a few years after this happened. He was certainly over with the crowds for sure. Tom Pritchard, though, trying to shove away at his adversary, and we kind of see some roll-ups and a couple of double teams by the Heavenly Bodies. Heavenly Bodies, a team that I loved, especially love their Smoky Mountain stuff, so looking forward to getting that covered at some point in the not too distant future. Anyway, the Steiners in an inset promo says they're going to take care of the Heavenly Bodies at the pay-per-view, and a hard DDT by Del Rey. Del Rey manages to tag off, and Jim Cornette is happy with his team. Good double team maneuvers, atomic drop, and a clothesline by Del Rey and Pritchard. Pritchard, he didn't get as much credit in the WWF as he could have or should have. Power slam from the second rope by Pritchard, and he gets should get a victory here. I believe he does, and yes, he does. Then we go to face with Lex Luger and Yokozuna. As to be imagined, Yokozuna, Fuji calls Luger lazy. Yeah, sure. Lex Luger calls Yokozuna a traitor, and that we should all be happy to have the option for patriotism. And then we close the program on that note. Looking back at it, I do not understand how anyone in the right mind thought that Luger was a main event babyface at the time, but it is what it is. In the hindsight of nearly 28 years will give us new perspective. Anyway, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.